Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to my channel Creative Grandma. It's Stitch of the Week time and this week's stitch is number 18 and it's called the two-way shell stitch. So when you look at this pattern, you're going to see we create a shell stitch going one way and then we create a shell stitch going the opposite way when we do the next row. This is a super quick and easy pattern. It's reversible, it's beautiful. It has just enough texture where you can see that texture popping up to just really give your project some interest. So this is the front side, and when you turn it over, you're going to notice it is a reversible pattern and it looks the same on both sides. I just think this is a super beautiful pattern, and best of all, this is a one row repeat. You're going to do your two base rows and then you'll repeat row 3 for the pattern. So this is what I want to call one of those TV watching patterns. If you like to crochet when you're watching TV, this is super easy to do and I can't wait to show you. So let me show you the 3 samples I made today. This first sample was made using landscape yarn. This is a roving style yarn and I love working with this yarn. This is just a beautiful yarn to work with. It is 100% acrylic. It comes in a 3.5 ounce skein, and I'll put a link in the description box underneath the video of the yarns I used in these samples if you want to check those yarns out, and then you can read all the information about them. This sample was made using color number 215 Fiesta in the Landscapes Lion brand yarn. So this is the yarn and you can see how that works up. Very, very pretty. The next sample I made just a basic bright white sample. I just think when you make any stitch pattern in bright white, it just creates a classic look. So here's the front, and when you turn it over, this is the back. And again, very beautiful reversible pattern. Now this sample here was made using Premier Basics. This is a yarn I use quite a bit. It's a 4 medium worsted weight yarn. It comes in a large 7 ounce skein and it's only $3.39 a skein. It's very affordable and that's why I like to use it. This is color number 1115-01 white. Again, here's the sample made using that white. So I have one more sample to show you. My third sample, I used a multicolor, and this is a multicolor with a very short color burst. I fell in love with this color. It's from Premier. Let me grab the yarn real quick. This is also a Premier yarn, the Premier Basics in the multicolor. And the multicolors come in a 5 ounce skein instead of the 7 ounce. And this is $3.39 a skein as well. And this is color number 1177-03 Lullaby. Again, very beautiful. I love it for making baby afghans. And again, I'll leave a link to all these yarns and you can check them out and get all the information regarding the yardage and the ounces. So this is the sample, and again, very short color burst in this yarn. You can still see the texture. I'm going to try to move it around. You can see the texture, but a lot of times when you're using these multicolors, it does take away a little bit from the pattern. So let me just show you again and compare the two, where the pattern here is very distinct of how you see those stitches. And then when you go to a multicolor, it kind of just everything just blends in together and it's really hard to see how beautiful this stitch pattern really is. Now this stitch pattern looks beautiful, I think, in no matter what yarn you use. I really love it in this yarn the best because it really shows off the stitch pattern with those different colors. And then the multicolor is pretty as well. You just lose a little bit of this definition of the stitches. And even when you do the white one, very classic look. So all kinds of possibilities with this pattern. Now let me tell you a little bit about the pattern. Now all our Stitch of the Week patterns are free. They're on our website. You go to creativegrandma.net, click the banner at the top that says Stitch of the Week, and you can click on whichever stitch you want and you can print out the stitch pattern. Now this stitch pattern here is a beginner level stitch pattern. It's wonderful for new crocheters and it's excellent for more experienced crocheters because it's easy, and if you just want something quick and easy to make, it has beautiful results. Now the stitch pattern is a multiple of 4 plus 2. So if you have trouble trying to figure out what a stitch multiple means, so what that means is you take the multiple of 4 and you keep chaining in multiples of 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, and so on until you get to the chain the width you would like for your project. Once you get your chain to the width you want, then you add the extra 2 chains, which makes the pattern come out. So that's how you figure out your stitch multiple. Now for today's crochet tutorial, I am just going to use a size 10J hook. Now I'm going to be using the Lion brand landscape yarn because it's very bright and bold and it's going to show up good on camera on my white table. Now it does say a suggested hook size is a 10.5K, but I'm going to just use a size J. I'm going to drop my hook size down, and that's the size hook I used for all my samples today. So to begin, grab your yarn, and if you're using a different yarn, maybe a lightweight yarn, just use the hook recommended on your label. So grab your yarn, grab your hook, and let's get this super easy pattern started. So I have my yarn attached to my hook, and again, I always use a double knot. You can use whichever method you prefer to start your crocheting. We're going to begin and we're going to chain 18, which is the multiple of 4 times 4 for 16 plus 2 for a total of 18. Yarn over your hook and pull it through the loop on your hook. This creates your first chain. The loop on your hook does not count as a chain. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue until you have 18 chains, and I'll be back and we'll start row 1. I'm back. I have my starting chain with 18 chains, and now we're ready to begin row 1. So we're going to start row 1 and we're going to skip that first chain. Remember, the loop on your hook does not count as a chain. We're skipping the first chain. We're going to insert into the second chain and we're going to work a single crochet. Yarn over, pull through that chain. You have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. That's how you make a single crochet. Now we're going to work 1 single crochet in each chain across to the end of the chain. Single crochet into the next chain. Single crochet into the next chain. Single crochet into the next chain. Continue and work 1 single crochet in each chain across, and I'll meet you at the end of row 1. I'm over at the end of row 1. This is what your work should look like, and you should have a total of 17 single crochet stitches. Now when you make a chain and you do a single crochet row to start a project, you will be 1 stitch less than what your starting chain is. Because you're working into that second chain, you lose a stitch. So again, you should have a total of 17 single crochet. So now we're going to work row 2. So for row 2, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and you're going to turn your work. Now this beginning chain 2 is going to count as a first double crochet. Now we're going to work 3 double crochet into that very first single crochet right at the base of that beginning chain 2. You're going to yarn over, skip the beginning chain 2, go right into that first single crochet stitch under the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through that stitch. You have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. That's how you make a double crochet. We need to make 2 more double crochet into that same stitch, yarn over, insert into that same stitch, work 2 double crochet. 1, double crochet back into that same stitch, and that's 2. So again, we started with a chain 2 and then worked 3 double crochet into that very first single crochet stitch. So now we're going to start the repeat. We're going to skip the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. Into the next stitch, we're going to single crochet, and now we're going to work 3 double crochet back into that same stitch. Yarn over, insert into that very same stitch, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And that is the end of the repeat. So very simple repeat, and we're going to repeat that across to the last 4 stitches. So I'm going to work this row right across to the very end with you. So let's do the repeat again. We're going to skip the next 3 stitches. Into the next stitch, work a single crochet. Now we're going to work 3 double crochet back into that same stitch. Yarn over, insert into that same stitch, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3, and that is the end of the repeat. So we have one more repeat to go, and then we'll be over to our last 4 stitches. So let's go ahead and do the repeat again. You're going to skip the next 3 stitches. Into the next stitch, work a single crochet. Now we're going to work 3 double crochet back into that same stitch. Yarn over, insert back into that stitch, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And that is the end of the repeat, and you can see how beautiful that little shell scallop pattern looks. Now, if you're already starting a longer chain, maybe for an afghan, then you would continue working the repeat by skipping 3 stitches and then working a single crochet and 3 double crochet into that next stitch. You're going to repeat that across to your last 4 stitches. So we're over at the end of the row, and you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches remaining. To end the row, we're going to skip the next 3 stitches, and we're going to work just 1 single crochet into that last stitch. Make sure you go under the top 2 loops, work 1 single crochet. And that ends row 2, and this is what your work should look like. You're going to have that higher shell stitch on this side, and then you're going to single crochet on the end, so it'll look a little bit higher on one side, but then when you come back, you're going to have the high end on this side and the low end on this side. Now, if you're new to crocheting, you may want to mark this beginning chain 2. You might want to just come over and put a stitch marker right into the top of that beginning chain 2, and you may want to put a stitch marker in your ending single crochet just so you know where the first and last stitch of this pattern is, if you have trouble with starting and ending your row and you can't keep a straight edge. I always suggest using stitch markers. So now our 2 base rows are finished, and now we're going to work row 3, which is our repeat row. So let's go ahead and begin row 3, which is your repeat row. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and you're going to turn your work. Again, your beginning chain 2 is going to count as your first double crochet. We're going to skip this beginning chain 2 and we're going to work 3 double crochet into this very first stitch, this single crochet stitch right at the base of the chain 2. Yarn over, skip the first 2 chain, insert under the top 2 loops of that first single crochet stitch, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and again we're working these stitches all into that same beginning single crochet, and 3. So again, you're starting the row with the chain 2 and 3 double crochet, and those 3 double crochet are worked into that very first single crochet. So again, if you have trouble starting and ending rows, make sure you put a stitch marker right into the top of that chain 2 of your turning chain. So now we're going to start the repeat, very simple repeat. We're only going to be working into the single crochet stitches. So let's begin. We're going to skip the next 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3. Into the next single crochet, you're going to work a single crochet, and then 3 double crochet back into that same single crochet. Yarn over, insert back into that same single crochet, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. So again, you have a single crochet and 3 double crochet worked into that single crochet. And when you look at your work, you'll see the row below is going to the right, and this next row is going in the opposite direction and slanting towards the left. And as you continue working row 3, it's just going to keep working this back and forth two-way pattern. So let's go ahead and do the repeat again. You're going to skip the next 3 double crochet into that next single crochet, insert, work a single crochet. Now we're going to work 3 double crochet back into that same single crochet stitch. Yarn over, insert into that same single crochet, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3, and that is the end of the repeat. So we have one more repeat to go, and when you're working this pattern, you're going to work over until you get to your last shell stitch. So you can see we have one more single crochet right here, so that means we have one more repeat. So let's go ahead and do our repeat. You're going to skip the next 3 double crochet, insert into that next single crochet, and work a single crochet. Now we're going to work 3 double crochet back into that same single crochet stitch. Yarn over, insert into that same single crochet, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. So if you're working on a longer project, then that is the repeat, and you're going to keep repeating, skipping 3 double crochet and then working 1 single crochet and 3 double crochet into that next single crochet until you get over to your last shell stitch. So now to finish the row, this is where it's very important to have those stitch markers if you're new to crocheting. We're going to work a single crochet into the top of that ending chain 2. So if you have a stitch marker there, you're going to know exactly where to put your last stitch of the row. So we're going to skip the next 3 double crochet and end the row with a single crochet right into the top of that ending turning chain 2. Insert into that top chain, work a single crochet. So row 3 is finished. This is what your work should look like. And again, you can see how that stitch is kind of sticking up and you're seeing that texture. So row 3 is your repeat row. That is the row you're going to repeat until you get it to the length you want. So I'm just going to work it one more time with you, just at a little bit faster pace. So again, you're going to repeat row 3 for the pattern. You're going to chain 2, and you're going to turn your work. To begin the row, we're going to work 3 double crochet into that very first single crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And again, if you're new, move that stitch marker up to the top of that beginning chain 2. We're going to skip the next 3 double crochet, single crochet into that next single crochet, and then work 3 double crochet back into that same single crochet stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And that is the end of the repeat. And you're going to repeat that in each single crochet across to that last shell stitch. So let me continue working across the row. We're going to skip the next 3 double crochet, single crochet into that next single crochet, then work 3 double crochet back into that same stitch. 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to do it again. Skip the next 3 double crochet, single crochet into this next single crochet, then work 3 double crochet back into that same stitch. 1, 2, and 3. When you get to the very last shell, again, if you're new, you'll have a stitch marker in the top of that turning chain 2, right into that second chain. You're going to skip the next 3 double crochet of that last shell and work 1 single crochet right into the top of that turning chain 2. And that is how you do row 3 over and over again and again. You can see the texture. When you turn it over, you're going to have the texture on the other side as well. It's just a really pretty stitch pattern. So here are the 3 samples that I made, again, just to get your mind thinking about what you can do with this stitch. So now it's up to you to go to your yarn, see what yarn you'd like to use, and see how creative you can be with this stitch pattern. So thank you everybody for stopping by today, spending a little time with me. Remember, this stitch pattern is available at creativegrandma.net. Just click Stitch of the Week. These Stitch of the Week patterns are free. Just print them out and then get started. Happy crocheting, everyone.